There's been a major shift in European politics, with voters in Greece and France booting out their ruling parties. France has its first socialist president in nearly 20 years, after Francois Hollande defeated Nicolas Sarkozy. In Greece, the two main parties also suffered heavy losses. In both cases, voters rejected tough austerity measures and the parties that supported them. Our coverage begins with correspondent Lisa Miller in Paris.
A sea of jubilant supporters greeted the president-elect as he arrived in Paris after midnight. The candidate, once described as Mr. Bland, was now sending them into ecstasy.
Remember for the rest of your life this great gathering at the Bastille, because it must give a taste to other peoples, to the whole of Europe, of the change that's coming.
The 57-year-old campaigned against the tough budget cuts driven by Germany and supported by Nicolas Sarkozy. And earlier he'd made clear his first mission would be changing the way Europe dealt with this crisis.
When the results were announced, I'm sure many people across Europe heaved a sigh of relief, knowing that austerity is no longer a foregone conclusion.
As France flexes its muscles, this victory could have implications beyond its borders. Nicolas Sarkozy is now the latest European leader to be swept from office.
Francois Hollande is the president of France and has to be respected.
The euro crisis wasn't his only hurdle to winning a second term. Seen as a president for the rich, he was intensely disliked.
I dedicated myself totally, completely. I did not succeed convincing the majority of the French people.
Francois Hollande's supporters may have waited decades to celebrate like this, but there'll be no honeymoon period for the new president. He takes over a country that's mired in public debt and facing an escalating economic crisis.
Mr. Hollande has promised to eventually balance the budget, but he'll do it by taxing the rich and spending more, a shift in policy that could prove crucial to the future of the eurozone. Lisa Miller, ABC News, Paris.